Welcome to the Sky Commander Flight Brief. It's your mission-ready podcast for drone pilot training and aerial insights across Canada.
From Transport Canada rules to real-world drone ops, we break it down, take you higher, and help you earn your wings. Because here at skycommander.ca, we don't just fly.
It hints there's more to it. It's a masterclass, a deeper level, maybe a philosophy or a community focus, perhaps.
It's definitely intriguing, sets them apart from just, a basic tips show. Skycommander.ca is the obvious next step. Precisely. If you're thinking about flying a drone in Canada, boom, this content is aimed right at you.
Powered by skycommander.ca.
The elite podcast for Canada's drone pilot. Okay, let's get started. Imagine the scene. You are standing on the edge of a cliff. And it's at perfect time of day, the golden hour. The sun is dipping low. It's casting those long, dramatic shadows that just make everything look, three-dimensional.
Yeah, the light is just hitting everything perfectly.
Exactly. It's hitting the water below just right, turning it into, liquid gold. And you've got your backpack on the ground, and inside is your drone. You can already see the shot in your head.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be that sweeping cinematic orbit, the kind of shot that ends up as the hero banner on your website.
It's the shot everyone chases. It's the reason we buy the gear in the first place.
Exactly. It's totally addictive. But then you take a breath and you look around and you realize you aren't alone.
Right.
There's a family having a picnic on the grass, maybe, a few yards away. There's a couple sitting on a bench, and maybe they're working through something heavy, having a deep, quiet conversation.
And there's always the guy in the truck.
Always. Way over in the corner of the parking lot, leaning against his truck, is a park ranger.
Yeah.
And he's eyeing you. He is looking right at that backpack. He knows exactly what's in there.
And this is the split. This is that moment. This is where the roadmap just forks in two completely different directions.
Right. So let's look at path one. You unzip the bag. You launch. The drone, it just screams into the air like a hive of angry bees.
Ugh, that sound.
That distinct, high-pitched whine just cuts through the sound of the ocean. And that couple on the bench, they stop talking because the vibe is completely shattered.
Absolutely gone.
The family pulls their kids closer because, let's be honest, those props are spinning blades and it just feels unsafe.
It does. It feels threatening.
And the ranger, he sighs, grabs his radio, and he starts walking over with that look on his face. You might get the shot, maybe, but you've ruined the experience for everyone within, a half-mile radius.
And this is more important for the industry at large. You've likely burned that location. You've burned it for every single pilot who comes after you.
No, that's a good point.
That is exactly how no drone signs get hammered into the ground. It's a chain reaction. One bad flight leads to a ban.
Okay, so have to. You get the shot. In fact, the footage looks even better than you imagined. But here's the kicker. Nobody on the ground is annoyed.
Right.
Most of them probably didn't even know you were flying. The ranger, he sees you packing up and he just gives you a friendly wave.
That's cool.
Today, we are deep diving into how to choose path 2. Every time.
We are talking about the transition from being, that annoying drone guy to becoming a respectful creator, to becoming a trusted operator.
And we are not just riffing here. We have a massive stack of sources today. We've got professional guides on cinematic strategies. We have updated regulatory frameworks for both Canada and the U.S.
And there are some massive changes coming in 2025. People need to know about this stuff.
Absolutely. And we also have ethical playbooks written specifically for these high-stress environments like national parks and crowded waterfronts.
The goal here is pretty simple, really. We want to hand you a complete playbook. By the end of this deep dive, you should know how to get the clip, how to get paid for it, and, how to stay welcome in the world's most beautiful places.
Let's start with the stereotype, though, because drone guy has become a bit of a meme, hasn't he?
Yeah, and not a good one. It's the guy in the cargo shorts, standing in the middle of the walkway, buzzing the beach, hovering 6 feet over people's heads.
Totally oblivious.
Completely. He's usually just staring at his screen, completely oblivious to the world around him. And he's acting like he's directing some borrow the sky. It's a beautiful line, isn't it? It shifts the entire power dynamic.
How so?
Well, when you try to conquer a location, you're imposing your will on the environment. You're flying fast, you're flying low, aggressive. You're basically saying, look at me, look at my fancy camera moves.
Right. The focus is on you.
The focus is on you.
Yeah.
But when you borrow the sky, you're prioritizing the place over the people. You're a guest. And what we found in these documents is that being respectful, it isn't just about being nice or polite. It's actually a technical skill set.
That's what surprised me. I thought this was going to be an ethics lecture, be nice to people, but it's not. It involves specific focal lengths, specific flight paths, and a deep understanding of, well, aerodynamics and acoustics.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about why a 70mm lens is actually a safety tool.
A safety tool, not just a creative one.
Exactly. We're going to talk about something called the sound tax. And we're definitely going to bust some really dangerous myths about those little sub-250-gram drones.
Oh, that's a big one. Spoiler alert. Just because it fits in your pocket doesn't mean you can fly it wherever you want.
That is the single biggest lie in the hobby right now, and we are going to dismantle it piece by piece.
Okay, let's unpack this. Section 1, the mindset shift. The sources use this term, the social contract of tourism flying. It sounds heavy, but break that down for us. What does that actually mean for a pilot on the ground?
It's the idea that a tourist spot, whether it's a beach in Hawaii, a landmark in Paris, or a hiking trail in the Rockies, it isn't an open film set.
Right.
It's a shared public living room.
I love that analogy, the living room concept.
Think about it. If you walked into a stranger's living room while they were, reading a book or having a coffee, and you just fired up a weed whacker.
Ha, yeah, you'd be kicked out immediately.
Immediately. It wouldn't matter if you said, but wait, I'm making art. The noise, the intrusion, it's just unacceptable. It doesn't matter if the weed whacker has a 4K camera on it.
You've broken the social contract.
You've broken the social contract. Your right to fly ends the exact second you destroy the experience for the people on the ground.
And there's a framework for this destruction, isn't there? The sources call it the nuisance ladder. It sounds like something out of a psychological thriller, but it's actually a really useful diagnostic tool.
It's a progression of failure. It explains exactly how a pilot loses a location step by step. It starts at level 1, mild annoyance.
Okay, what does that look like? What does mild annoyance feel like?
You're hovering. Maybe you're just framing a shot, trying to get the horizon straight, so you're just sitting there in the air, buzzing.
Not even moving much.
Not moving at all.
Okay.
And people are staring at you. It's awkward, the vibe has shifted slightly, but nobody is saying anything yet. It's that passive phase.
That's the passive aggression phase. Everyone wishes you would just leave, but they're too polite to say it out loud.
Exactly. But if you stay there, you push it. You hit level 2. Social pressure. This is when a stranger walks up to you, taps you on the shoulder, and asks that dreaded question.
Hey, are you allowed to do that here?
That's the one. Ugh.
That question is the worst. It puts you immediately on the defensive. You feel like you have to justify your entire existence.
It does, but here's the thing. If you hear that question, you have already failed. You've failed the vibe check. It means your flying was intrusive enough to force a stranger to overcome their social anxiety and actually intervene. You have become the problem.
Okay, so then what's level 3?
Level 3 is authority appears. Security guards, park rangers, police. Now, you aren't just annoying, you're a problem to be officially managed. This is where names get taken down and warnings are issued.
And it gets worse from there. Level 4 sounds legitimately scary.
Level 4 is crowd movement. This is one people don't think about. The drone is loud or it's low, so kids start running toward it because they're curious, which is incredibly dangerous. Or people start moving away from it because they're scared.
So you're actually changing the environment.
You have created a kinetic hazard. You are altering the flow of human beings on the ground. That's a huge deal.
I've seen videos online of people trying to grab drones out of the air.
That happens. That's part of this level. People feel threatened, or if they just think it's a toy they can play with, they might try to help you by neutralizing the threat.
Wow.
And finally, you get to level 5, which is enforcement and lost locations. That's when the new drone signs go up. That's when the city council passes a new ordinance banning them everywhere. The whole goal of the respectful creator is to never even step on the first rung of that ladder.
Okay, so a key metric for staying off that ladder is this concept of the sound tax. I hadn't heard this term before, but the second I read it, it made total sense.
It's this idea that tourism flying is judged, I'd say, 80% by ears and only 20% by eyes. We as creators, we obsess over the footage. We look at the pixels, the color grading, the dynamic range.
Yeah, we're staring at a screen.
But the public, they judge us by the noise, plain and simple.
So high RPMs, aggressive moves, that equals a high tax.
Exactly. Aggressive flying fast accelerations, hard braking, flying in sport mode where the motors are just pushing max torque, that creates a high-pitched whine. And that frequency, it cuts through everything. It demands attention. It screams, "Look at me!" And the low tax then would be calm flying, slow, deliberate movements, Higher altitude. Utilizing the wind rather than fighting against it. If you fly gently, the pitch of the props drops. It starts to blend in with the wind or the traffic noise in the background.
So the goal is to be acoustically invisible.
If you can fly an entire battery without anyone looking up, you're winning. You are paying zero sound tax.
But how do we know? I mean, as the pilot, you might be wearing headphones, or you're just so focused on the screen, you might think you're being quiet. How do you actually know if you're paying too much tax?
The sources suggest a constant mental checklist. It's called seen, heard, felt. You should be running this loop in your head every 30 seconds or so while you're in the air.
Okay, walk us through that. What's seen?
Seen is, are you drawing visual attention? Is the drone a little black dot against a big white cloud, super high contrast, or is it kind of camouflaged against a dark cliff face? Are you flying right in someone's direct line of sight to the sunset?
Simple enough. Heard seems obvious, but give us the metric they use.
The metric is conversation. Is your prop noise dominating the conversation on the ground? If a couple 10 feet away from you has to raise their voices to speak to each other,
You're too loud.
you are too close or too loud. You have taken over their acoustic space. You've invaded their living room.
Okay, and felt. That one seems a bit esoteric.
It is, but it's probably the most important one. It's the emotional impact. Do people feel watched? Even if you aren't filming them, let's say you're filming a lighthouse that's way behind them. If you hover 50 feet away with a lens pointed in their general direction, they feel surveilled. It triggers this primal defense mechanism. We are just hardwired as humans to notice when we are being watched.
And the sources identify 3 specific groups that are especially sensitive to this felt impact. Who are we trying to protect here? Who are the VIPs of the felt test?
Number 1, families and kids. Kids are chaos variables. They're unpredictable. They run in straight lines toward noise. If you fly low near a family, you are inviting a collision.
Yeah.
You have to anticipate that a child might just bolt toward the drone.
Right. Okay, second group.
People doing quiet things. Things like prayer, grief, proposals, meditation.
Oh, man. Imagine buzzing a drone during a marriage proposal. You would be the villain of their life story forever.
Or someone scattering ashes.
Yeah.
It happens more than you would think at scenic spots, cliffs, beaches, mountains. You just have to read the room. If the energy is somber or intimate or sacred, you ground the drone, period. There is no shot worth ruining that moment.
And the third group?
Locals. This is the pragmatic one. Tourists are temporary. Locals vote. Locals go to the city council meetings.
That's a great point.
If you annoy the guy who's walking his dog every single morning at the local park, he's the one who writes the letter to the mayor. He's the one who gets the bylaws changed. You respect the locals, and you protect the location for everyone else in the future.
So the mission is essentially to be invisible. But invisibility doesn't mean you're legal. You can be the stealthiest pilot in the world and still be breaking federal law. This is where we need to open the heavy books. The sources describe compliance as the 3 locks.
This is the best mental model for compliance I've ever seen. I think a lot of pilots, they just look at one app, maybe the DJI app or B4UFLY, and if it says ready to go, they think they're good.
Green light means go.
Right. But the guide says you need the key to all 3 locks to fly legally. One key isn't enough.
Okay, let's pick these locks. Lock A, what is it?
Lock A is aviation rules. The air. This is what the FAA in the US or Transport Canada regulates. This is the airspace itself.
We have listeners in both countries, so let's split the screen here. Start with Canada. What are the big rules up there?
In Canada, it's strictly binary. You have basic operations and you have advanced operations. It all depends on how close you are to people and what kind of airspace you're in.
Okay, so what's basic?
Basic means you are flying in uncontrolled airspace. And D, you're staying more than 30 meters. That's about 100 feet horizontally from any bystanders.
100 feet is further than people think. I mean, that's a 10-story building laid on its side.
It is. It's a huge buffer. If you are at a crowded beach or a busy park, you literally cannot fly under basic rules. You physically cannot maintain that buffer.
So how do you get closer?
To get closer than 30 meters or to fly in controlled airspace near airports, you need an advanced certificate. That's a harder exam. And crucially, a live flight review with an instructor who watches you fly.
Okay, let's jump over to the U.S.
In the U.S., the main divide is recreational versus Part 107, which is the commercial license. If you are flying for money or even just to promote your own YouTube channel that happens to be monetized or for a nonprofit.
Anything but pure fun.
Anything but pure unadulterated fun, you need Part 107.
And what about flying near people in the States?
The operations over people rule is the big one. Generally, unless you have a specifically categorized drone, and there are 4 categories, 1, 2, 3, or 4, with things like prop guards and documented impact limits, you absolutely cannot fly over open-air assemblies of people. You just can't.
So no hovering over a concert crowd.
No hovering over a concert crowd. No hovering over a parade. No flying over a farmer's market. It's a hard no.
We also have to touch on remote ID for the U.S. listeners. That's a big deal now.
Yes, it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
The enforcement discretion period ended back in March 2024. This is real now. If your drone requires registration, which is all Part 107 drones and all recreational drones over 250 grams, it must be broadcasting remote ID.
And what is that exactly?
It's a digital license plate. Law enforcement can scan it from the ground with a phone app, and they can see who you are, how high you are, and most importantly, exactly where the pilot is standing. There's no more hiding.
So, okay, let's say you've got Lock A open, you're Part 107, or you're advanced certified. The app says the airspace is clear, you're good to go, right?
Wrong. That is the trap.
Yeah.
That is the biggest mistake people make. That leads us directly to Lock B land manager rules. The ground.
Ah, right. Airspace can be green, but the ground is red.
Precisely. Just because the FAA or Transport Canada controls the air doesn't mean you have the right to operate from the ground. The landowner controls the takeoff and landing. It's a basic property rights issue.
Give us the big examples here. Where does this trip people up?
National parks. This is the one everyone fights about online. In the U.S., the National Park Service, the NPS, has a standing policy. No taking off or landing within park boundaries, period.
But people always say, well, what if I stand outside the park and I fly in?
The VLOS loophole, yeah. Technically, the NPS doesn't control the air. But, and this is a huge but, you must maintain visual line of sight VLOS.
With your own eyes, not the screen.
With your own eyes. It is very, very difficult to stand outside a massive park like Yellowstone or Zion, fly in far enough to get a meaningful shot of a landmark or a geyser, and still be able to see your tiny drone with the naked eye.
And if you can't?
You're breaking federal aviation law. Plus, they can hit you with wildlife harassment fines, which are federal offenses. It's just not worth it. You are risking massive fines, jail time, and gear confiscation.
And what about up in Canada?
Same deal. Parks Canada prohibits all recreational drone use in all national parks, period.
Right.
If you launch from the parking lot at Banff or Jasper or Gros Morne, you're breaking the law. It's extremely strict.
And this applies to cities too, right? It's not just a nature thing.
Often, yes. A lot of major cities, like New York City, for example, have what is effectively a blanket ban on launching from most public parks. And then you have private resorts, bridges, historic monuments. You always have to ask the question, who owns the dirt I'm standing on? And do I have permission to operate machinery here?
Okay, that brings us to Lock C. This is the one that caught me off guard because of those new 2025 updates you mentioned. This is the filming an event permission lock.
This is huge. If you are a Canadian creator, you really need to listen up. As of April 1st, 2025, Transport Canada is changing the game regarding what they call advertised events.
So what counts as an advertised event?
A concert, a festival, an outdoor market, a marathon, a street fair, basically anything where people are gathered together for a specific purpose at a specific time, and it was advertised to the public.
And the rule changes.
Previously, people thought, well, I have a micro drone, it's under 250 grams, so I'm exempt from all the rules. The new guidance clarifies that flying near these events now requires a Special Flight Operations Certificate, an SFOC, even for micro drones.
Whoa, so the under 250-gram loophole is effectively closed for events in Canada.
For advertised events in Canada, yes. That myth, that dangerous myth that my drone is a toy so laws don't apply, is dead. It does not override privacy laws, it does not override national park bans, and now it does not override event restrictions.
Wow. I feel like a lot of people bought those mini drones specifically to avoid all this red tape.
They did. And for general travel, hiking a remote hill, flying over empty water, they are still fantastic tools. But they are not a get-out-of-jail-free card. You cannot just pull one out at a crowded music festival and think you're immune to the law anymore.
Let's look at a scenario the sources provided, because this really brings all 3 locks together. They call it the just one quick shot trap.
Oh, we've all been there. A client, maybe it's a festival organizer or a wedding planner, comes up and says, hey, can you just grab a quick overhead of the crowd dancing? It'll take 10 seconds. Just pop up and grab it.
And the pressure is on. You want to please the client. You want to be the can-do guy, not the no guy.
Right. And the amateur says, okay, sure, I'll be quick. They launch, they fly directly over the crowd, they get the shot, and they land. In those 10 seconds, they violated the operations over people rule, so Lock A is broken. They likely violated the advertised event restriction, so Lock C is broken. And they created a massive liability if that battery failed.
So what does the pro say? How does the professional handle that?
The pro says, I can't fly directly over the crowd for safety and legal reasons, but here's what I can do. And then they redesign the shot.
How? What does that redesign look like?
They fly along the perimeter of the crowd from a safe distance. They might use a longer lens, a telephoto lens, to compress the crowd so it looks packed and dense, even from a safe distance. They fly side-on rather than top-down. They capture the energy of the event without putting a spinning blade over anyone's head.
Redesigning the shot, that seems to be the key. It's not about saying no, it's about saying, how else can we achieve this?
Exactly. Creativity within constraints. That is the definition of professional work in any field.
Speaking of constraints, let's talk about Section 3. This is the art of the standoff. This one, I think, challenges the ego a little bit.
It really does. We're talking about filming iconic landmarks. The Eiffel Tower, the Golden Gate Bridge, the CN Tower, you name it.
The natural instinct, the amateur instinct, is the King Kong approach. Fly straight at it, get as close as you can, hover right in front of the observation deck.
And that approach is usually illegal, it's definitely dangerous, and frankly, it looks amateur. It looks like security camera footage. It has no depth, no context. It's just a picture that says, here is the thing.
So how do we make a landmark look epic if we're forced to stand, say, 500 feet away?
You use geometry and you use optics. The sources lift 4 specific tricks to do this. The first one is geometry and compression.
Okay, explain that. What does that mean?
It means don't fly closer to your subject. Instead, move your launch point further back and use a tighter lens, like a 3x zoom or a 70mm equivalent lens. If you shoot a monument from a parallel street or from across a river, you can make it look huge relative to the things in the foreground. The background seems to get pulled forward, compressed.
That leads right into the second trick, which is layering.
This is Cinema 101, but people forget it with drones. You need a foreground, a midground, and a background. If you just have a building against a flat blue sky, it's boring. There's no sense of scale.
Yeah.
But if you have, say, bridge trusses or some tree branches in the foreground, the monument in the midground, and then the city skyline in the background, suddenly you have a 3-dimensional image. You have created depth.
And you didn't have to fly over a single person to get it because you're staying way back to keep those foreground elements in the frame.
Correct. You are literally hiding behind the foreground. The third trick they mentioned is parallax. This is what beats the standard boring orbit shot every time.
Ah, the orbit, the one everyone does. Circle the castle, circle the lighthouse.
It's so overdone. Parallax is when you slide past the object laterally. Because you have that foreground we just talked about, the foreground moves much faster across the frame than the background does. It creates this dynamic, rushing feeling of speed and depth. Even if you're flying really slowly, it makes the world feel alive.
And finally, the fourth trick is scale.
The rule of thumb here is, people should be ants, not subjects. If you can recognize a person's face in your shot, you are probably too close. You're violating their privacy and you're creating a nuisance. But if they are just tiny little specks that give a sense of scale to a massive cliff or a towering building, you're doing it right. It emphasizes the grandeur of the location. It makes the landscape the hero, not the tourist.
The sources gave some really specific shot concepts here. I want to dig into the street canyon concept because it came with a pretty serious technical warning.
The street canyon is a fantastic shot. You position the drone way up high at the end of a long avenue, and you're looking down this corridor of buildings toward a landmark at the end. Then you pull back, revealing the whole city. It's beautiful.
Right.
But you have to be terrified of something called GNSS multipath.
That sounds like some Star Trek technobabble. Unpack that for us. What is that?
It's a very real and dangerous problem in cities. Your drone uses GPS signals from satellites to know where it is and to hover perfectly in place. In a city with tall glass buildings, those satellite signals bounce off the glass before they hit the drone's receiver.
So the drone gets a confusing echo of the signal.
Exactly. The drone calculates the time it took for the signal to arrive, and because of the bounce, it gets it wrong. It may think it's 20 feet to the left of where it actually is. So if you are relying on GPS to hold your position, the drone might suddenly jerk or drift aggressively into a building to correct what it thinks is an error.
That is nightmare fuel.
Total nightmare fuel. So if you're flying in a street canyon, you need to be ready to fly fully manual in ATTI mode. And you have to keep extra clearance from all the buildings. Don't trust the GPS. Watch the drone itself, not just the screen.
That is really good to know. Okay, let's move out of the concrete jungle and into the wild. Section 4, environment-specific playbooks. Let's start with the waterfront.
beaches and lakes. They seem easy, right? They're wide open spaces, no buildings, no wires, but they are deceptively risky. The sources introduce a mental model for this called the failure footprint.
This is a bit dark, but it seems necessary. The idea is, if the drone dies right now, where does it land?
Right. And physics dictates that the drone will carry its momentum forward as it falls. So you have to visualize that crash zone constantly. At the beach, your failure footprint must always be water or empty sand. It can never, ever be Towel City.
Towel City. I know exactly what you mean.
You're constantly adjusting your flight path to keep that footprint safe.
The guide suggests drawing 3 imaginary lines in your head to manage this.
Yeah, this is super helpful. You have the people line, which is where all the towels and umbrellas are. You have the swim line, which is the water near the shore where people are waiting and kids are playing. And then you have the boat line, which is further out.
And the rule is?
You never fly parallel directly over the people line or the swim line, ever. Instead, you fly what they call the offshore parallel glide.
Okay, walk us through that move.
You fly out past the swimmers, out over the deep water, past the boat line. Then you turn the drone 180 degrees so the camera's facing the land. Then you just fly sideways, parallel to the shore.
Ah, I can see that.
Yeah, you see the waves in the foreground, the beach in the midground, and then the mountains of the city in the background. It's a beautiful, layered, safe shot.
And if the battery fails?
Splash. You lose the drone, it sinks, and it really sucks for your wallet. But you don't hurt anyone. You don't end up on the evening news. That's the calculation you have to make.
The waterfront also has what the sources call the travel trio of hazards: wind, sand, and gulls.
The wind's the big liar. On the beach, you're often shielded by dunes or trees. It can feel perfectly calm where you're standing, but at 150 feet up, that sea breeze creates a laminar flow that can be 20, 30, even 40 miles per hour.
And if you fly out with the wind,
you might not get back. This is the classic rookie mistake. You fly downwind, you're having a blast, the drone is moving super fast, you're getting great footage, and then you turn around and realize the drone can't fight the headwind on the way home. The battery hits 0, and the drone goes for a swim.
Okay, hazard number 2, sand.
Sand is the invisible maintenance bill. Drone motors are brushless. They're essentially powerful magnets. And iron-rich sand loves magnets. If you take off from loose sand, you are just grinding your motors. You are getting grit inside the gimbal. It's a slow death for your drone.
So always hand launch or use a dedicated landing pad?
Always. Every single time. Never put the drone in the dirt.
And gulls. I've personally had issues with this. They are so aggressive.
They are territorial dinosaurs. If they start diving at your drone or escorting it, flying right next to it, matching its speed, that is a serious warning. They're sizing you up. You need to leave immediately.
You can't outrun them.
Don't try to outrun them or climb above them. They are faster, they have infinite battery life, and they will absolutely take you down. They will strike the props, and it's game over.
Okay, let's hike up to the mountains. The playbook changes here because the psychology of the people there is totally different.
It really does. Think about a hiker. They've walked for 3 hours, they've sweat through their shirt, they've climbed 2,000 feet. Why did they do that?
To see the view. To get away from the noise of the city, to earn that moment of peace and quiet.
Exactly. They are actively seeking silence. They are in a vulnerable state, maybe standing near a cliff edge, and then Z's, Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-T, that high-pitched whine.
It's a violation. It feels personal.
It's a high cognitive load distraction. It scares people. It ruins the endorphin high they work so hard for. So the rules here have to be incredibly strict. We use what the sources call the 3-zone plan.
Okay, what is Zone A?
Zone A is the experience zone. That's the summit, the viewpoint, the rock everyone wants to stand on for their photo. And the rule is, never launch here. Do not be the guy unpacking all your gear in the middle of the picnic. Don't be beeping and calibrating your compass where people are eating their sandwiches.
So where do you launch? That's Zone B.
Zone B is the service zone. That's 50 feet down the trail, behind a big rock or in a little clearing, away from the edge. That is where you launch and land. You keep all the mechanics, the beeping, the calibration, the pre-flight checks, hidden away from the main experience. You get in the air, away from the crowd.
And Zone C?
Zone C is the flight lane. This should be out over the valley, over the void, not tracking up the trail right over people's heads. You launch from Zone B, you fly out to Zone C, you get your beautiful shot looking back at Zone A, and then you return. You keep the noise contained in the empty space.
It's very surgical.
It has to be surgical. And there's one more test, a specific one for sunrise and sunset. It's called the quiet moment test.
This one is pure ethics.
Totally. If you get to the summit and you see someone is praying or proposing or crying or just meditating in silence, do not fly.
Even if the light is absolutely perfect.
Even then.
Yeah.
Especially then. Though social cost is just too high, you are stealing their sacred moment for your Instagram reel. It's not a fair trade. You have to respect the humanity of the space.
What if you're on a job? You absolutely need the shot for a client.
Then you use the 2-gap rule. You wait for a gap in the launch traffic so you aren't annoying the people near your bag, and you wait for a gap in the viewpoint crowd. You pop up, you get your shot in 3 minutes, and you land. You don't loiter. You don't fly 3 batteries back to back while people are trying to enjoy the sunrise.
Okay, so we know where to fly. Now let's talk about how to fly. Section 5 is all about what the guides call quiet drone grammar.
This is how you really separate the pros from the joystick jockeys. There's a visual language that just screams drone, and then there's a language that looks and feels like cinema.
So what screams drone? What are the telltale signs of an amateur?
Flying at a low altitude near people, that's a big one. Flying at a fast speed, and the biggest giveaway of all is constant yaw.
Okay, explain yaw for the non-pilots listening.
Yaw is just spinning the drone left or right on its central axis. When you combine fast-forward movement with constant yawing, looking left, then looking right, constantly adjusting the frame, it feels robotic. It feels like a search and rescue mission or a security camera. It can actually make the viewer feel motion sick.
It's disorienting. It draws attention to the camera itself, not to the subject you're filming.
Exactly. Cinema, on the other hand, is a tripod in the sky. It's stable, it has height, and it moves at walking speed.
Walking speed? That feels so incredibly slow when you're flying. You feel like you're just crawling through the air.
It feels slow to the pilot, but when you watch it back on a big screen because of the wide-angle lens, the landscape moves by majestically. Fast movement actually looks cheap. It shrinks the landscape. Slow, deliberate movement makes mountains look massive.
The sources list 5 essential moves. Let's run through the top ones. Number 1, the high, quiet reveal.
This is a classic. You start with the camera aimed down at a foreground object, a tree, a sand dune, a rock. Then you slowly rise up, tilting the camera up at the same time to reveal the vast landscape behind it. It's the perfect opening shot. It tells a story. We are here, and look at this incredible place.
Okay, number 2, the lateral glide.
This is the slider in the sky. You just fly perfectly sideways,
Yeah.
No rotation, no yaw. You just let the world scroll past the lens. It's hypnotic. It's great for establishing shots and showing off layers.
And number 3, the context orbit.
This is very different from that fast, tight orbit we bashed earlier. This is a huge radius. You are very far away from the subject. You keep the subject slightly off center using the rule of thirds, and you move very, very slowly. It looks like a helicopter shot from a high-budget documentary. It shows how the subject fits into the larger environment.
The common thread here, through all these moves, seems to be place first.
Always place first. If a face is recognizable in your shot, you've probably broken the spell. You're documenting a person, not a place, and you're probably too close.
To pull off these moves, especially that standoff stuff we talked about, you really need the right tools. Section 6 is all about gear and the deliverable.
And the sources are very specific here. They call it the Respectful Creator Gear List. And there is a clear winner, in their opinion, for the best all-around drone for this job right now.
Drum roll, please. It is the DJI Air 3S.
And the reason is very specific. It's the 70mm lens.
Why is that medium telephoto lens so critical? We've mentioned it a few times now.
It allows for what they call standoff storytelling. With a standard wide-angle lens, like the one on a Mini or on your phone, everything looks far away unless you are physically close. To get a close-up shot of a person on a ridge with a wide lens, you have to be maybe 10 feet away from them.
Which is annoying, dangerous, and loud.
All of the above. But with a 70mm lens, you could be 300 feet away. You're totally inaudible to the subject. But the compression of that lens makes the shot look intimate and close. It pulls the background, that distant mountain peak, closer to the subject. It looks like a movie. It allows you to get the shot without ever being part of the scene.
So it's a safety tool masquerading as a fancy camera feature.
That's the perfect way to put it. It buys you distance. And distance buys you safety and silence.
What about the other options on the market? What about the Mini?
The DJI Mini 4 Pro is what they call the ultra portable. It's great because it's under 250 degrees, it's really quiet, and it's much less intimidating to the public. But its main limitation is it only has a wide lens, so you have to fly closer to get detail. It requires more careful flight planning to avoid becoming a nuisance.
And the big one, the Mavic 3 Pro.
That's the workhorse. 3 cameras, incredible image quality. But it's bigger, it's louder, and it's more expensive. It requires more crowd management. When you unpack a Mavic 3, people notice. It looks like a professional tool, which can attract the attention of security.
There's one other piece of gear they absolutely insisted on: ND filters.
Non-negotiable. If you want cinematic video, they're non-negotiable. Neutral density filters are basically sunglasses for your drone camera.
And why do we need them? Why can't we just adjust the settings?
It's all about controlling shutter speed. Cinematic motion looks smooth because there is a slight natural blur to any movement. To get that, your shutter speed needs to be double your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you need 150th of a second shutter speed.
But in bright sunlight, that slow a shutter speed would completely overexpose the image.
It would be pure white, unusable. So you put sunglasses on the lens, the ND filters, to cut the light down, which allows you to keep that slow cinematic shutter speed. Without them, your video looks jittery, it looks sharp, and it looks hyper-realistic, kind of like a soap opera or the local news. It breaks the cinematic illusion.
Okay, final stretch. You've got the Air 3S, you've got your ND filters, you've flown your quiet lateral glides. Now you have to send the files to the client. And the sources say, stop sending montages.
Yes, please. Tourism boards, hotels, they do not want a 3-minute music video that you edited to techno music. They cannot use that. They want a library.
What's the difference?
A library is a collection of individual, high-quality, unedited assets that they can reuse for years across all their marketing. And the structure should be hero, support, and utility.
Okay, break that down for us. What are hero shots?
Hero shots are the big, wide, ad-ready moments. The postcard shot, the money shot. Support is the B-roll, all the little details, the textures, water moving over rocks, leaves blowing in the wind, the shots that glue the main edit together.
And utility. That sounds boring.
It is boring, but it's what makes you valuable. Utility shots are things like static frames, where the drone is just hovering like a tripod. It's vertical crops, specifically for Instagram stories. And it's leaving extra handles on all your clips.
Handles? What are handles?
It just means you leave 2 to 3 seconds of stillness before you start the camera move and after the move ends. Editors need that room to make cuts and transitions. If you start moving the second you hit record, the editor can't use the start of the clip. They will curse your name in the edit bay.
And there's the 5-10 second rule?
Yes. Editors want short, stable, perfect clips. If you send them a 60-second video where you wander around, you look left, you look right, you adjust the gimbal, and then you sneeze, they will hate you. They have to watch all that garbage just to find the 5 good seconds. Just send them the 10 seconds of perfection. Do the curation for them. Be a professional.
And finally, file naming.
Oh, this is so important. DJI00045.mov is not helpful. Nobody knows what that is. 2025-0601 Banff Lake Louise reveals sunset.mov is professional. It saves them time. It makes you look organized. It gets you hired again.
So we've covered a massive amount of ground here, from the psychology of the sound tax to the legal 3 locks to the art of the standoff and the business of deliverables.
It really all comes down to a shift in your identity. You aren't just a pilot pushing sticks around. You are a creator who manages the social and legal environment to produce a business asset.
The nuisance-proof philosophy.
That's the whole thing. Legal compliance plus social courtesy equals a long-term career. That's the math. If you want to be doing this in 10 years, you have to start flying this way today.
Before we wrap up, we have a challenge for the listener. The sources call it the Final Wingman Challenge.
I love this. It's a great practical exercise. Next time you go out to shoot, try this. Design a full sequence, your hero shot, your support shots, your utility shots, where the drone never flies within 100 feet of a single person.
That is a lot harder than it sounds.
It is. But can you still make it feel emotional? Can you make it look cinematic without ever encroaching on someone's personal space? If you can do that, you've mastered the 70mm lens, you've mastered parallax, and you've mastered this entire mindset.
And there's a second part to it, the waterfront challenge.
Yes. Plan a flight where if the power cuts out at any second, literally any second of the flight, the drone lands in empty water, not near a swimmer or a boat. If you can fly with that level of discipline and constant awareness, you're flying like a pro.
That is the bar. Fly high, fly quiet, and let the location tell the story. That's a wrap on today's mission, Commander. See above, go beyond, get ahead. For more training, tools, and intel, head to skycommander.ca. If you learned something new, share it, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star debrief.